Hello, everybody. Wild Man Z here with a book series, really a recap, not a review so much. I want to talk about the Hyperion Cantos, which is 4 books. It's Hyperion, Fall of Hyperion, Endymion, and the only hardcover I have here, The Rise of Endymion. I've been reading this on and off for about 2 years. I never read book series straight through. I always take a break. This was excellent. I enjoyed all 4 books, some more than others. And again, I'm not going to review these books today. I'm just going to tell you some of the themes here. I won't spend more than 10 minutes. I made a prior video. It was 25 minutes long. I said nobody wants to hear me speak that long. Try to keep it up under 10. This book right here might be my favorite or second favorite sci-fi book series of all time. I'm a big fan of Dune. I love the God Emperor Dune. The most in that series, with the self-titled original book being close second. This book's right up here with those two. I would say I like it a little bit more than the first Dune book, and equal, maybe a shade less than the God Emperor Dune. So that's high praise from me. I'm an avid sci-fi reader. I'm not fanatical about it because I read cross genres. I read a lot of classic literature. I mean, I love everything from the Iliad to Gulliver's Travels. I love all sorts of books. Love a lot of the classic guys who are kind of banned these days, with Conrad and Melville and Faulkner, all that stuff. And so, I read a lot of things, but I read a fair amount of sci-fi, so I think my opinion's valid. This is a great book. So I'll focus kind of on this and pull some of the themes in that go into the other books from this. What I like about this, near future, but we're thrust into a world which is very strange and changed unpredictably from our own. It's presented like the Canterbury Tales. We have about 7 or 8 people who are on a mission to a planet called Hyperion, as the title suggests. They're all very different characters, and their motivation to go there is there's a being called the Shrike there who lives in a valley with what they call time tombs. These are structures that are anomalous and enigmatic, like the Shrike himself, that all have, I would say, magical properties to them, although it's presented in a sci-fi motif. Maybe they travel through time or space or things like that. They're not fully understood. They have scientists that, to a very limited extent, are allowed to study them. The Shrike is not understood either, but people do worship it. It does kill people. It sometimes will wipe out an army or a whole city. People really don't understand why. It can travel apparently instantaneously. It appears to be at many places at once sometimes. Maybe it's just traveling really quick and through time. What it is not really understood, but people do worship it. It kind of has a church associated with it at this point. And these people are all going there because every X number of years, I'll just say 20, 25 years, the Church of the Shrike allows people to come to that valley to basically try to find a Shrike and ask it one question it will give you an answer for. But it will generally kill everybody or maybe spare one person. That one person will get a revelation, although they never talk about anybody who got a revelation. It's like, that's the one thing I was reading. It's like, they never say, oh yeah, John Jones back in the day, they told him about what the stock market was going to happen. Nobody ever remembers anybody actually living, but it's kind of like a last-ditch attempt. And so, of course, what happens is they're traveling through space and also on the planet itself, which is a very backwater planet, a fringe system, with a lot of mystery with it, not with a big standing population. They are all telling why they're going. So it has that Canterbury Tales element to it, which is great. And they're all very different stories with all ties to the Shrike. And what the Shrike's associated with, in theory, is this entity called the Technocore, which is a branch of artificial intelligence that's broken off from humanity, sentient, has political and social motivations, apparently, diffuse. We do not know where it has its physical body. It may not have it anymore. Maybe doing these computing on protons or photons or something, some other way we can't even conceive of. And it's definitely imbued people with, or given people some technologies that are very beneficial. It has these things called forecasters that you can walk through and go from one planet to another instantaneously, although you have to build the platform to do that with specs. You don't understand how it works, you just know how to build it. They never tell you how it works, the Technocore. They leave people hanging, kind of a little bit of a mystery there, right? Hyperion's fringe system, they don't have that built yet, so you have to travel there by a conventional spacecraft. This book is great. This book has world building, it has strange creatures, it has cool characters with all very different motif backstories ranging from military sci-fi to horror sci-fi to hard-boiled noir type of story. And you're always left with a sense of mystery that is really, he doesn't try to over-explain it. You're kind of being revealed bits and pieces of this through the characters telling their stories, and they don't always wholly understand certain things of it, like what the Technocore is or exactly what happened to Earth. Earth is gone now. It's been allegedly consumed in some big mistake type of thing, a black hole type event, but people really don't understand it. So there's a lot of mystery here. Fantastic book. You can read it unto itself. You will have an ending that's like kind of a cliffhanger, but like, if you just want to be along for a wild ride, that's it. Second book concludes the first major arc. The writing is solid. Dan Simmons is a solid writer. Got the Shrike on the cover again. Obviously an integral figure here. But this is basically like a lot of fighting and hard sci-fi, a lot of military sci-fi type of scenes between Force. That's the humans have a military called Force. It's an acronym for something or other. But they're very advanced, with armadas and so forth, and some crazy high technology weapons. But they're facing off against a combined threat, we'll take it at that, of another race of humans that have broken off. We call them ousters. They're sort of genetically modified people, but the Technocore is all obviously in there. This book is a little bit of a letdown compared to the first one. I would give the first one, it's a perfect book to me, 10 out of 10. This one's like a 6 or 7 out of 10. You could stop reading at the first book, or you could read these two, but just know this is a little bit of a letdown from the second one. The third book, I think, in my opinion, Endymion, picks it back up. It's another mystery where we have a cast of characters. We have Raoul Endymion, who's a backwater hick who gets put on a mission by the poet from the original story, one of the travelers. He's still alive. He's real old now. And a little girl. Her name is Aeneas, like the Aeneid. I might be mispronouncing it. The Shrike's involved. He's usually not traveling directly with him, but it'll be kind of in the background. He's not wholly evil. He's got some sort of protecting role to this little girl here. And an android who's the blue fella here called Abetic, A for android, and he provides a little, he's crafty and helpful, and provides a lot of narration. The literary voice here is that of the hickish character. He's writing this, so he doesn't wholly understand the backstory of what's going on. He's basically recapping what happened from a prison cell that he's in awaiting execution. So he's telling you, like, this is how I got here, and it's a really good story. Integral to this is the Catholic Church. Catholic Church in the future has expanded its influence again. It's even more prevalent than it is now. Probably the majority of the people on these planets, at least on civilized ones, are Catholics. The big trick that they get a major following is not just the Word of God, but they also have a way of keeping you alive now forever. They embed something in your body, a crucifix, literally, but it's whether it be an organic being or a technological being, it's probably a little bit of both, is left a little ambiguous, but when you die, it can resurrect you, provided you have the correct technology that the Catholic Church has helped develop, probably with some help from the Technocore, to bring you back intact, because otherwise it brings you back, if it happens unto you, if you don't have that technology, you come back as a simpleton, and probably asexual and so forth, so you're missing some things, you can't reproduce anymore. So every time you do it, it brings you back with a more basic version of a being than what you started out with, including physically and mentally. So this book is great. It picks up the steam again. It's got great action. It's got a lot of new mysteries now associated with, like, what's the relation with the Catholic Church and the Technocore? What happened to the Technocore? We had a huge war in the first book. They got decimated, but apparently not completely. And who's the Shrike? And so the fourth book is great as well. It continues on the story. This book here probably has the best, some of the best world building I've ever seen in a sci-fi book. They're all over the place. The planets that range from something that's like a cloud city with pagodas, like with heavy Buddhist influence with the Dalai Lama. There's a lot of religious influence on this book. Judaism's in these books, Buddhism's in these books, the Catholic Church is in here, and then other churches that are developed that we don't have, like the Church of the Shrike Atonement, something like that, and other religious systems that are just dissimilar from ones we have today. And so there's a lot of cool worlds. My favorite world in these book series, it shows up a couple times, is Mare Infinitius, which is a planet. It's a water world, but it has these motile islands that are kind of sentient islands that can swim, and symbiotic relation with dolphins and stuff like that. And it implies that they're Earth-based dolphins, but they're probably more intelligent than we thought they were, and they kind of have a symbiosis with these islands once they've cultivated them on this planet. So really cool. It's some really cool worlds here and technologies. A lot of times they break out this thing called the Hawking mat, which is named after Stephen Hawkins, which is some sort of levitating mat. I kind of picture it being superconductive with a Misner effect type of thing that they fly around on, like magic carpet basically, but it's technological. Shrike's still in its big time. They also introduced some other technological villains. They're called, the last name is Nemesis. They all have a different first name. Nemesis, like Nemesis, maybe it's Nemesis. And one of them, our Nemesis, is like their leader. She fights a Shrike to a standstill in one scene. The one thing I didn't like is she gets in a fight with Raul Demion, and he basically beats her, which was, to me, not fathomable. She's like the Terminator, basically. But if that's the only fault you have in your sci-fi, big deal. It was these books. The book series, I would say, is one of my favorite of all time, and the book Hyperion itself is perhaps my favorite of the series. So I definitely recommend it. If you're a sci-fi reader, particularly the first book, if you like horror sci-fi, it's for you. If you like military sci-fi and hard sci-fi, you probably really like the second book. That's not my big thing. I like more things to deal with myths and religion and those type of things, and a fantasy element and so forth. So I really like the first book, and I haven't read that much horror sci-fi. I like the Alien series, but not too many books. Some of the scenes in here, there's a scene in the first book, or I shouldn't say scene, it's a story by the priest of basically telling his tale on Hyperion. It involves actually two priests. That is some of the best horror sci-fi that I've ever encountered, movie, reading, whatever, comics. It is gripping. And so the story of Father Durere and Lenore Hoyt, those two priests, it's great. So on that note, I want to keep it a little short. I made a video before I watched it. I said, I rambled on too long. I'm going to bore the hell out of people. So if you're one of the 5 or 10 people that watch these videos, I really appreciate it. If you want to hear about any more of these books, sci-fi, books in this series, I'll elaborate on these or any other sci-fi series. I've probably read about half of them out there. If you want to hear about the Book of the New Sun or Dune or anything like that, I've read those books, or Foundation. I love sci-fi. Let's be real, it's a great genre. So on that note, Wild Man Z is out. Enjoy your day. Take care.